September 13th. I'm reading at least 20 minutes a day in September and posting a short video about what I read. This is to increase visibility for the Trevor Project and to show someone who matters to me and is important to me some support. So I've been reading Frankenstein and I've finished it. I have a few more thoughts, so I am still reading something else, so I'm not talking about what I specifically read today, but you know, I read a whole bunch of Frankenstein the other day, so I get to cheat, and it's not really cheating, so deal with it. What I really want to talk about is this sort of perception of the monster. I think a lot of what we know about Frankenstein is almost certainly going to come from movies, whether it's the Universal movie starring Boris Karloff or one of the many other iterations that have come about. The monster is perceived in those productions as being kind of stupid or nonverbal, almost childlike, prone to violence. I really feel like the monster in those movie versions is more like has something more in common with the character of Mice, Steinbeck's of Mice and Men than it really has to do with the actual literary Frankenstein's monster. The monster in Frankenstein is never that way, never. He never commits violence mindlessly. All the violence that he does is out of frustration and just sort of longing for someone to accept him and being denied and attacked at every single turn. I mean, everyone judges the monster immediately on how he looks. Never do they get past that. It's like they can't get past it. There's only two instances where that sort of happens apart from Frankenstein himself. Frankenstein will converse with the monster and does feel some sympathy sometimes, but he always looks back later when he's by himself and says, well, maybe I was wrong, and changes his mind. The first is the old man, DeLacy, who lives in the cottage, who is blind, that the monster sort of introduces himself to and sort of pleads his case to, but sort of because of bad timing, Felix, his son, comes in, sees the monster at his father's feet and considers him a monster and drives him from the house, beating him. The other one is the young ship's captain, who I think his name is Walton, I think that's right, who at the very end of the book sees the monster sort of weeping or sort of in grief, I guess, over Frankenstein's body, and is immediately horrified, but then sort of averts his eyes and keeps his eyes averted for the rest of the conversation they have, and sort of says, wait, listen, and the monster is completely shocked because no one apart from Victor has ever stopped to talk to him or even given him a chance. So he's always judged immediately on what he seems to be, but not what he is. And that's why that speech at the very end of the book that the monster gives is so powerful and so important. It really kind of, sums up what happens. The monster admits that what he's done is wrong. He says, I did terrible things. No one would ever give me a chance. And he had no solace, no one to confide in, no one to, he had nothing. He was shunned without provocation, and then he would sort of fulfill that destiny that he was only not given a choice about. He only had the choice to be a monster. He was never allowed to be anything but. So that conversation that the monster has, where Walton actually, if that's his name, actually listens to the monster. And the monster sort of says, yeah, I did these horrible things, but what about all the people who did horrible things to me? Completely baseless. And maybe Walt, the only person who might, after that speech, kind of have a shadow of a doubt about how the monster was treated. You know, so that really kind of, was a real, statement about, perception of someone and judging someone on what you assume to be what's really going on, and not what that person's actually done or how they actually have acted. So I think that's a kind of the central theme, or a very important theme in that book. And I think that I think another thing to remember too when we think about this is that Victor does lots of things that are wrong, and everyone immediately assumes that he's good and does the right thing, and Victor never admits that anything that he did was wrong, except that he made the monster and he shouldn't have. But he never accepts responsibility for how he treated the monster or for de-escalating the situation when he could have. He's so vain that he thinks the monster will only go after him, and puts his family and loved ones at risk. So, I think that, like I said, that final speech the monster gives is an excellent sort of end note, and kind of sums everything up. Really almost sort of Shakespearean in a sense, sort of soliloquy that he gives. Was great. It was really great end cap to that whole story, and really made it such a fantastic and poignant read. So I've got a little more to talk about Frankenstein tomorrow.